The King's Avatar, Chapter 1404 Technique. Audio source, WurshaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1404 Technique. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Boom. Falling Phoenix/'s knockdown priority was very high. Deception crashed down against the ground, even forming a small crater upon impact, but the flashing sword light had already caught up. Falling Light Blade. Almost as if flying on his sword, Troubling Rain and Ice Rain arrived in front of Deception in the blink of an eye. Deception was rapidly forming hand seals with his hands. Substitution technique. Huang Shaoshan could predict this. This was one of the most disgusting things about fighting ninjas. They had numerous escape techniques that could brutally murder their opponent's attack combo. Luckily, most ninja techniques required hand seals, which was their form of casting. Even though a ninja's casting speed was decided by effective APM, it still gave their opponents the chance to interrupt. His mechanics were very fast, but it wasn't fast enough. Huang Shaoshan's calculations were very precise. He had executed his offensive with Mo Fan's escape techniques in mind, aiming to make sure the other didn't have a chance to use them. The time between the short stun after Deception crashed into the ground from Falling Phoenix/ and Troubling Rain's Falling Light Blade hitting wasn't enough for Mo Fan to use the substitution technique. These detailed calculations were one of the many factors that differentiated top gods from rookies. No matter how talented a rookie was, their lack of experience meant that they wouldn't be able to make such detailed and accurate estimations. Hit. Ice Rain swung down, and Huang Shaoshan already had his next moves all planned out. But in that moment, he noticed the hand seals Deception was making. This wasn't the substitution technique. Huang Shaoshan's eyes were sharp, able to capture the tiny and rapid hand movements Deception was making. This was the underground tunneling technique. Mo Fan had actually decided to choose to counterattack at a time like this. This was shocking to Huang Shaoshan. He hadn't predicted such a possibility because when they had been prepping for their battle against Happy, they had found two clear and fundamental traits to Mo Fan's style. Patience that wasn't second to anyone's, and an absolute aversion to risk-taking. Considering this player's background, it wasn't hard to understand this style. Thus, this underground tunneling technique completely contradicted his style. This was a risky move, and Huang Shaoshan hadn't expected Mo Fan would consider such a decision at all. But he could probably interrupt it, right? The hand seals required by the underground tunneling technique were more complex than the substitution technique. That's what Huang Shaoshan told himself, but he still had a bad feeling about this. Different techniques had different complexities, but players also had different levels of familiarity and mastery for different techniques. For rookies, this was more evident. It was completely possible that the more complex underground tunneling technique would be faster than the substitution technique. Hit. In the end, Falling Light Blade struck Deception, but had it interrupted the hand seals? There was only a slight difference in timing, so minuscule that not even Huang Shaoshan could make a judgment. All he saw was Deception thrown back by this Falling Light Blade and then suddenly disappearing into the ground. He had completed the hand seals. Huang Shaoshan's reaction was immediate. Troubling Rain, having just landed on the ground, once again jumped up without hesitation and slashed down. But it hit air. Deception hadn't jumped out to attack him. Now, he was once again displaying that disgusting patience of his. What an annoying opponent. Huang Shaoshan cursed under his breath. Actually, God knows how many times his opponents had cursed him with the very same words. Partially because of his trash talking, partially because of his battle style. It was extraordinary, and extra annoying. Huang Shaoshan didn't know when Mo Fan planned on attacking. The moment he landed would be the most dangerous, so he accompanied his landing with another strike downwards. Deception still hadn't struck, and Huang Shaoshan felt that it was quite the shame. Though his patience was admirable, but in Huang Shaoshan's eyes, the other's decision wasn't the best. The optimal moment to strike with underground tunneling technique was the moment it was activated. In that moment, Huang Shaoshan had been a bit of a mess. However, now, he had oriented himself and was prepared, quietly awaiting the moment the attack was launched. Did Mo Fan really think he could succeed in a sneak attack now? Not unless Huang Shaoshan disconnected. What a shame. Thus, Huang Shaoshan began spamming the chat again. Even underground, Mo Fan could still see the chat channel. You missed your best opportunity. Huang Shaoshan continued. Now I can even have my character easily walk out of your underground tunneling technique's range. Huang Shaoshan finally said, range. After he typed down this word, Huang Shaoshan startled. And then Deception's underground tunneling technique activated. Not under Troubling Rain's feet, but in the farthest corner of the skill's range from Troubling Rain. Just like that, Deception jumped out of the ground to face Troubling Rain. Holy shit! Huang Shaoshan realized that he had made a mistake. This underground tunneling technique wasn't about offense at all. In that moment, it was used as an escape skill. And now, hadn't it successfully interrupted his offensive? The two of them, facing off directly. With Troubling Rain's 10% health, a few skills exchange was enough to kill him. Seeing Deception's emotionless avatar face, Huang Shaoshan felt like he was looking directly at Mo Fan's expression. While he was rambling away, the other was probably emotionless like this, not even sparing his words a glance. Deception turned and escaped, once again using the environment to hide himself. His opponent only had 10% health left, yet he didn't directly attack. However, this time, he was very active. While hiding, he would often throw a shuriken or something to harass Troubling Rain, baiting his opponent into coming closer. Huang Shaoshan didn't know if he should cry or laugh. He, a god, was now being played around with by a rookie. However, he didn't have any way to deal with. This rookie was no joke, and his own character only had 10% of his health left, and so he was set in a very awkward circumstance. After patiently tormenting him for a good while, Mo Fan finally found an opening he was satisfied with. Deception charged out, unhesitantly showing an air of, yes, that's right, I'm taking advantage of the fact that you barely have any health left. What a damn bastard. When Troubling Rain finally fell, Huang Shaoshan was so angry he couldn't even type anything anymore, only slammed the desk and curse. Mo Fan won. Though everyone had expected this result when 50% of Troubling Rain's health was smashed by a tree, when the victory actually occurred, it still sent the audience into an uproar. Counterattack of the grassroots. This was it. This wasn't the first time Mo Fan had achieved something like this before. Last time, he had defeated Sun Xiang in the regular season, no. However, that time, he had the clear advantage from the beginning of the match. This time, 100% versus 80%, rookie versus god, how many people would even consider that 20% advantage? From the beginning, everyone was expecting Huang Shaoshan to win. Though this match included a hilarious catastrophe of getting 50% of his health smashed by a tree, making Huang Shaoshan's situation look like an unfortunate accident. This situation was artificially created, and they couldn't neglect to consider the role Mo Fan's skill played. Plus, in their head-on exchanges, Mo Fan hadn't been completely suppressed by Huang Shaoshan. Compared to the last round where Yi Shu had 30% of his health knocked off in one go by Huang Shaoshan, Mo Fan had yet to fall into such an ugly situation. On the contrary, he had started off with a successful ambush, taking out 20% of Troubling Rain's health in one. Wuxia What a glorious victory! Pan Lin exclaimed in the live broadcast, purposefully reminding everyone to not overlook this victory because of that last 50%. After all, it was Huang Shaoshan who cut down that tree. Saying this, Pan Lin had to stifle his laughter. No matter how he described it, it would sound hilarious. Huang Shaoshan left the stage amidst laughter. Some were mocking, some sympathetic, some just cheerful, all sorts of different emotions accompanied by applause and people yelling, "Huang Shao! Huang Shao!" He didn't know how to feel. After returning to Blue Rain's player bench, his teammates all came up to shake his hand, or pat his shoulder and whatnot to comfort him. What the hell? What the hell you think you're all doing, huh? If you want to laugh, just laugh. Huang Shaoshan exploded. These assholes. He could tell they wanted to laugh, but all came over pretending to comfort him. They were terrible actors. None of them seemed sincere at all. True, it's too hard not to laugh. Song Xiao was the first to burst into laughter. We're already lagging way behind. Be more serious. Huang Shaoshan warned everyone with a serious expression. In the group arena, 3 of Blue Rain's players had been beaten already, including their ace player Huang Shaoshan, while Happy was only at their second player. Plus, Deception still had 64% of his health left. Yes, we're at a huge disadvantage. We need to be more cautious. Captain Yu Wenzhou directed his words at the next player in line. Yes, sir. Li Yuan saluted his captain. Li Yuan was a Season 8 debutee, playing a summoner. Unlike other newbies who were usually careful and docile upon joining the team, Li Yuan was very lively, enthusiastic no matter who he was faced with, and quickly became familiar with Blue Rain's players and other staff. Though Li Yuan had amicable relationships with other people, Li Yuan wasn't the kind of rookie who made waves. He hadn't appeared at all in the Season 8 Best Rookie nominations because he hadn't had many chances to play that season. Then, in Season 9, Lu Hanwen, the youngest player in history, debuted in Blue Rain, directly taking over the position Yu Feng had left and completely outshining their second-year player Li Yuan. However, Li Yuan hadn't let this bring him down, and wasn't at all jealous of this rookie that had outshone him so much. He treated Lu Hanwen like everyone else, taking care of the other. Finally, in the past year, Li Yuan gained more chances to play and cemented his position in the team. Then in this season, Thief player Lin Feng transferred to Wind Howl and Li Yuan stepped forward once more, becoming a permanent core member of the team and garnering more chances to perform in the individual competition, group arenas and team competitions. His performance was admirable. Now, on the final stage of the playoffs, he was fielded. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1405. Search. Audio source. WuxiaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1405. Search. Translator. Gnome Yummy. Editor. Gnome Yummy. Li Yuan. Happy looked at Blue Rain's next player. He wasn't a particularly talented player, yet he was a player no team could lack. Talented players also need accompanying leaves to serve as contrast for them. No team consisted of only gods. There were only so many gods. Li Yuan wasn't a god, but anyone who could be part of a powerhouse like Team Blue Rain certainly had to have the skill to back it up. To be allowed to participate on such an important stage, how could he be underestimated? Li Yuan. Summoner. 8 notes. 3 of Blue Rain's players had been eliminated. By now, Blue Rain had a fairly good understanding of this originally unfamiliar map. Li Yuan did the same as his 3 previous teammates and had his 8 notes boldly take the central path. This time, Mo Fan unexpectedly did not have Deception take a roundabout route, instead choosing the central path as well. Is he planning on a direct confrontation? Pan Lin said in surprise. Mo Fan's patience and caution had left a deep impression on everyone. Even when his opponent only had 10% of his health left, he still stuck with his usual strategy of searching for an opportunity to make a sneak attack. His scrap-picking habit of always prioritizing his safety first was truly suitable for the group arena. So why did he suddenly want a direct confrontation? Pan Lin wondered as the two characters quickly came into each other's view. Li Yuan's 8 notes immediately stopped and started summoning creatures. As for Mo Fan's deception, with a sudden stride to the side, he scurried into a bush and disappeared. He still intended on launching a sneak attack. Everyone let out a sigh of relief. They weren't used to seeing Mo Fan's character charge forward fiercely. Hiding was more like it. Li Yuan noticed that Deception had hidden himself, but he didn't care. He was a summoner. He wasn't too afraid of an ambush. He continued to summon creatures, soon letting the viewers know his playstyle. Spirit style. Creating an enormous army was easy for spirit-style summoners. Little spirits could be stacked up to a total of 8 for each element. Every 2 same element little spirits could merge to form a big spirit. 4 big spirits of different elements could merge to form a spirit king. A maxed-out spirit army could have a total of 8 little spirits, 4 big spirits, and a spirit king. Compared to the 4 beasts of the 4 sacred beasts, the number of summons was far greater. But because the higher stage spirits required lower stage spirits to be formed, finding a balance between them was the difficult part. Let's say a spirit king was suddenly killed in a battle. To make it up, 2 more big spirits were needed. To make these 2 big spirits, the little spirits need to be merged. Performing these many spells to merge them together wasn't easy to do quickly. As a result, for the spirit style, replenishing one's summons was crucial. Waiting for one's spirits to be killed before summoning more wouldn't work. And because of the complications involved in maintaining a spirit army, spirit summons had a fairly long durations. Little spirits could stay on the field for a minute, big spirits 2 minutes, and spirit kings 4 minutes. 4 minutes was a long time. In 1v1s, Yishu and the others unhappy could crush noobs in tens of seconds. Li Yuan didn't panic. When he saw that Deception had gone into hiding, he sent out a little fire spirit to chase after him, while 8 notes continued to summon. Other classes need to worry about not being ambushed when pursuing their opponent, but spirit-style summoners had plenty of spirits to protect them, so there was nothing to fear. The little fire spirit looked like a small fireball. Not long after it reached the grass began to wilt because of the heat. The little fire spirit had a bit of burning power, but when a big fire spirit came over, it was like moving lava. The brushes started to smolder and smoke spread through the air. By now, Li Yuan's 8 notes had summoned 4 big spirits, 6 little spirits, a grand crowd. He boldly stepped into the previous area to the side of the central road that Song Xiao, Lu Hanwen, and Huang Shaoshan had avoided due to their unfamiliarity with the map. "Where do you go?" Quote. With the spirits protecting him, Li Yuan appeared completely calm and had time to type. Even though he didn't talk non-stop like Huang Shaoshan, he was clearly the type who liked to say a few words when there was time to. Mo Fan could even ignore Huang Shaoshan's map attacks. How could he be bothered by Li Yuan's simple words? For a moment, Li Yuan wasn't able to find Deception. He found a spot and planted a Devil World flower. Because Devil World flowers were rooted to a location, they weren't suited as the core of a style, but no summoner style would let go of such a powerful summon. For example, the Devil World flower didn't rely on sight or sound to search for a target. It would automatically detect any target within its range and attack the target with its vines. But when the Devil World flower was planted, there were no movements from it, meaning this surrounding area was safe. You ran quite far away. Li Yuan muttered again. 8 Notes immediately waved his wand, sending out a command with each wave. The summons started spreading out to search the surroundings. All of the summons were set to auto-attack. As soon as the target was discovered, the summon would automatically attack and Li Yuan would immediately know. Playing hide-and-seek with a summoner isn't a good idea, Pan Lin said. The spectators had an omniscient view, so they obviously knew of Deception's current location. The previous Devil World flower had worried them. Fortunately, Deception had moved away. However, now that 8 Notes had started conducting a wide-area search, Deception's constant movements to escape Li Yuan's notice gave them even more anxiety. He's up against a spirit-style summoner, after all. Li Yibo sighed. 8 Notes had maxed out his big spirits. He now had 4 big spirits and 8 little spirits searching the area. As soon as a fight broke out, a Spirit King would inevitably be summoned. The Spirit King was the most powerful spirit and could use the skills Elemental Cut, an Elemental Split, and an Elemental Explosion, each skill stronger than the other. Perhaps finding a way to escape would be the wisest decision, Pan Lin thought. But Mo Fan clearly thought differently. He had Deception stay there and play hide-and-seek with the summoned spirits. Happy's fans were on their edge of their seats for Mo Fan, while the neutral spectators and Blue Rain's fans felt like this time, Blue Rain had this match in the bag. Mo Fan's sneaky playstyle had met his nemesis. But after watching for a bit, they noticed that something wasn't quite right. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. Again and again, just when it looked like the spirits would find him, Mo Fan would immediately have Deception evade them. Wow, how incredible! Pan Lin stuttered. Mo Fan's ability had once again exceeded his expectations. Yes, this is the skill trained from scrap picking, Li Yibo said. Anyone who had experienced with glory immediately thought of a scene. In a dusty battlefield covered in countless blade and bullet marks, a cold ninja nimbly wandered through the battlefield, carefully dodging any attacks and avoiding attention. Afterwards, he filled his bag with all sorts of precious equipment and materials until it was full before disappearing into the fringes of the battle. Compared to that environment, 20 enemy spirits was nothing. The viewers sighed. As for Li Yuan, his spirit still hadn't uncovered Deception. He was starting to lose his patience. While the spirits were searching, he wasn't staying idle. 8 Notes stood within the Devil World flower's protection range while he carefully observed his surroundings. His spirits weren't wandering around aimlessly. They were moving towards his dead angles according to the terrain. Even so, Deception was still nowhere to be found. Could he have already run far away? It was hard not to be suspicious. In reality, the spectators with an omniscient view all knew that Deception had uncovered himself before. Unfortunately, Li Yuan couldn't see 360 degrees, otherwise he would have noticed Deception not just once or twice. Unable to find Deception in any direction, Li Yuan wasn't sure what to do. His search had lost focus. He couldn't just keep spreading out his search forever, could he? Li Zan carefully observed in a circle. After reflecting on his search plan, he felt like there weren't any holes, so he had his spirits increase the radius of the search area another step. Not good. Everyone saw this scene and shouted in their hearts. Deception hadn't run far, and by increasing his search radius, Deception was now inside the circle, giving Mo Fan an opportunity. Had he insisted on staying, anticipating this sort of opportunity would appear. Sure enough, Deception started approaching. However, 8 Notes still had a troublesome Devil World flower. Li Zan was still a pro player. He wasn't so naive as to wait for his Devil World flower to disappear before planting another one. As a result, Mo Fan didn't keep waiting. He watched as the spirits spread out further, and after seeing Li Yuan summon another Devil World Flower to replace his current one, he rushed out. Whoosh! Devil World Flower's vines suddenly climbed out of the ground towards Deception. Mo Fan had predicted this move. The ninja's biggest advantage was that he could form his seals while moving or while in any position. Ninjutsu, Explosive Flame Dragon. Another ninja level 75 skill. After forming the seals, Deception held up his two fingers and formed a triangle, putting it in front of his mouth. A light purple flame flew out from his mouth. As soon as it touched the air, it immediately started exploding wildly, creating a chain of flames towards the Devil World Flower. Fire attacks dealt additional damage to Devil World Flowers. With just this one move, the Devil World Flower turned pitch black. The extending vine instantly turned lifeless and dispersed into ash. At this moment, Li Yuan's 8 notes had lost his only protection. End chapter.
The King's Avatar. Chapter 1406 Restricted. Audio source, wushaworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 1406 Restricted. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Fighting a close-range battle. Honestly speaking, the summoner's common weapon of choice, the wand, had a very high attack speed, usually having a rating of around 9 to 10. Because of this, there had even been some wand users among battle mage players, focusing their playstyle on their magic abilities. When it came to summoners, their close-range fighting power was pretty much close to zero. If they relied on themselves to fight in close quarters, they could only use some superficial skills that any class had access to, and if they really had to, they could use Lash, which was normally used to buff their minions. Evidently, these few skills weren't enough. As such, some summoners would opt to learn some of the battle mage's initial skills, like Dragon Tooth, Falling Flower Palm, Circle Swing, all of which were very popular. This would let the summoner have at least some capability of defending themselves in an unexpected close-range battle. However, skill points were precious, and learning these skills wasted too many points, making many summoners very reluctant to use this method. As such, there was now another more sketchy method of dealing with the problem, putting a skill on their weapon. Teleport. This high-level skill from the Elementalist class was undoubtedly a strong option for escaping, and Li Yuan's summoner, 8 Notes, had chosen this path. The moment he saw Deception charging towards him and instantly dispatching the Devil World Flower, he cast Teleport without hesitating. Teleport was an instant cast spell. It wasn't impossible to interrupt, but the window of opportunity for doing so was extremely short, making it very difficult to interrupt. Deception had yet to properly latch onto his opponent, and in such a scenario, interrupting the spell was pretty much impossible. Zap. A sound like an electric current sounded out, and 8 Notes had already been teleported several units away from his original position, leaving only a trace of magic power behind. But then, flame cut. The flames frantically swept towards 8 Notes. Li Yuan looked over, and Deception was clearly still back there, but then how was the attack already so close to 8 Notes? Shadow clone technique. Running into a ninja was Li Yuan's misfortune. Using teleportation could indeed instantly create some distance between the characters, but the ninja could use shadow clone technique in this way to immediately close the distance. A summoner's teleportation could only be level 1 at best, meaning that the distance traveled was the shortest possible. Li Yuan hadn't overlooked the fact that Deception was a ninja, but he had no other options. His usage of teleportation was just an attempt, trying to see if Mo Fan's reactions were fast enough to catch up. Unfortunately, Mo Fan did catch up. He wasn't just an expert in escaping, but also in pursuing his target. The distance moved by shadow clone technique wasn't enough to let Deception completely close in on 8 notes, but Flame Cut, a skill with some range on it, was already enough to reach 8 notes. 8 notes turned over and rolled. Summoners were only lacking close-range skills, but these basic movements were obviously something that every character possessed. Some summoners with excessive self-confidence would choose to use their basic movements to dodge attacks, a method even more economical than putting teleportation on their weapon. However, within the professional scene, no summoner would choose to use this economical method. Simply put, there were no noobs for them to bully in the Alliance, so purely relying on sidestepping attacks wasn't going to cut it against an offensive from any pro player. Cut. Mo-Fan used a low-level assassin skill, and in a flash, Deception had completely latched onto 8 notes. Ninja Arts, Cicada Shell Double Slash. With this skill, after the ninjutsu was unsheathed, both the blade and the scabbard would attack together, crossing and attacking enemies to the left and right of the character. But Glory's mechanics allowed for a great deal of freedom in controlling the character, and as such, when there was only one opponent, there was obviously no need to attack on both sides. When Deception used this Cicada Shell Double Slash, the ninjutsu and scabbard both slashed towards 8 notes. Once one hit connected, the offensive immediately began. When fighting against a summoner, Mo-Fan didn't need to attack too explosively. After just 2 or 3 moves, 8 notes had already been thoroughly suppressed. Even when a summoner was under siege, the commands that they issued to their summons couldn't be interrupted. But in order to control their summons, they still need to be within the summoner's field of view in order for them to select the unit to control. At this time, Deception had already forced 8 notes into a corner, cutting off part of his vision, and the attacks afterwards caused his camera to shake and sway non-stop. The broadcast cut to Li Yuan's point of view. And it was really a tragic sight, the summons roaming around freely and the distance had become fragmented on his screen, intermittently cutting in and out of view. Under these circumstances, it was exceedingly difficult for Li Yuan to control his summons to come over and save him. Player Mo-Fan seems to have a lot of experience in fighting against summoners. Li Yibo said surprisedly. He was just a rookie, and he hadn't appeared much on stage in this season, but at this moment, he showed incredible adeptness at the techniques used to fight against summoners. At Happy's player bench off stage, upon seeing Li Yuan's point of view, Luoji had a traumatized expression on his face. Why was Mo-Fan so used to fighting against summoners? Because there was one in the team. When it came to their skill levels, there was quite a gap between Luoji and Mo-Fan, but Mo-Fan held nothing back when he played with opponents weaker than him. Mo-Fan was earnest in every practice session, and as such, Luoji had been beaten into a pulp by Mo-Fan hundreds or thousands of times. At one glance, the spectacle unfolding from Li Yuan's point of view was just too familiar. When he fought individually against Mo-Fan, he had similarly been forced into a corner and killed an untold number of times. However, Luoji's concealed light was an elemental beast summoner, primarily making use of those 4 summons, but Li Yuan need to control roughly 10 spirits. United against a common enemy, Luoji involuntarily felt a sense of kinship with Li Yuan, unexpectedly feeling worried on his behalf. Li Yuan was obviously suffering greatly. Now that he had been latched onto, there was definitely no room for him to finish a summoning spell. He had his back against the wall, and the summons in the distance were completely uncontrollable. At this time, 7 of the spirits would flicker in and out of his view, but Mo-Fan's offensive tossed him from side to side, making commanding the spirits nigh impossible. However, everyone could see that there were 3 spirits coming over in succession to protect him. Even under such restricting circumstances, Li Yuan had still managed to complete commands for 3 of his spirits, showing off his significant caliber as a pro player. But only 3 of them. Upon seeing the 3 little spirits charging over, the more knowledgeable viewers could only silently mourn. Spirits summons relied on creating an army of sheer numbers to achieve victory, so evidently, their individual attack power wasn't too powerful. Whether it was in terms of attack, defense or health, the spirits didn't have particularly impressive stats. Spirits were more notable because their duration was long, and their attacks had a chance to proc elemental effects. But if it was just little spirits, they'd be easily dispatched in 2 or 3 hits by other players. Would the spirits charging over really be able to do anything, especially given that Li Yuan wasn't able to arrange and deploy them properly? Li Yuan was completely aware of this point, not taking Mo Fan as an opponent that could be easily harassed by a few little spirits. The 3 little spirits didn't charge over and immediately attack, instead stopping and waiting at a point that Li Yuan had indicated earlier. This point was in a far more convenient location for Li Yuan to control the spirits. Evidently, Li Yuan was arranging his spirits against Mo Fan, constantly tossing him from side to side. Not bad, Li Yuan is very prudent. Don't think that he's just taking a beating. His response to the situation clearly displays the defensive skills that players from Blue Rain possess, Li Yibo exclaimed in admiration. At Happy's player bench, Luo Ji's eyes flashed with understanding. He could see the wisdom in Li Yuan's tempo. The 3 little spirits going up to attack was only a minor irritation, not serving any real purpose. But now that he had the 3 spirits stop at a convenient place, he had once again put himself in a good position relative to his spirits. Mo Fan's harassing attacks were mainly meant to disrupt the stability of Li Yuan's field of view. But now, no matter how his vision was disrupted, Li Yuan would always have an option, and given his hand speed, as long as he had an option, it would be a cinch to grasp it. As expected, another big spirit was controlled from afar, beginning to move over and rescue him. WuxaWorldAudio.com. It's a fire spirit, Pan Lin said. After all, Li Yuan doesn't really have much of a choice. If he could choose, I think he would have prioritized the ice spirit or the light spirit, Li Yibo replied. The big fire spirit's attack was Flame Blade, a close-range attack. On the other hand, the ice spirit's Falling Ice and the light spirit's Lightning were long-range attacks. And on top of that, there was a chance to freeze or paralyze the opponent with the attacks, something that would be of great help to 8 notes. The fire spirit had high offensive power, but it need to get close to attack. In the worst-case scenario, Deception could easily beat it up along with 8 notes. Let's see what Li Yuan plans to do, Li Yibo said. At this point, there isn't much duration left on the little spirits either, Pan Lin mentioned. The broadcast immediately displayed the duration remarking on the little spirits, since there was a difference in when the spirits were summoned, and as such a difference in remarking duration. The spirits that were far away weren't taken into account. Of the 3 that were close by, 1 had 9 seconds, while the other 2 had 14 seconds and 19 seconds. The big spirit still had 2 minutes worth of duration, so at this point, there was no need to worry about it disappearing by itself. However, the little spirit with only 9 seconds left looked as if it wouldn't be able to make any real contribution. Li Yuan clearly understood this, and a convenient opportunity arrived to control the 3 little spirits, so he commanded the one with 9 seconds remarking to charge over. If it was going to disappear by itself anyways, it would be better to bring it over and cause some irritation for Deception. This was a little ice spirit. All the little spirits had to be close to the enemy to attack, and while they had a chance to inflict an effect on hit, the probability was much lower when compared to the big spirits. The little spirit floated over, but Mo Fan completely ignored it. When it was almost in range, he suddenly used neckbind technique, and 8 notes was flung over his shoulder, crashing into the little ice spirit. Immediately afterwards, he used flame cut, slashing towards both the little spirit and 8 notes in one swing, and the little spirit died. And 8 notes. Li Yuan used this opportunity and continued to tenaciously control his spirits. One little spirit had died, but 2 more rushed over to take its place. At the same time, one big spirit finally rushed over to surround him. "Is this enough?" Pan Lin cried, betraying his concern. Everyone could clearly see that Mo Fan was an expert at dodging and escaping. With how little duration there was left for the little spirits, Mo Fan could just put in a little effort to contend with them, and they would disappear by themselves. There's already no other options. Li Yibo sighed. As time went on, the summon's duration was extremely disadvantageous, meaning that Li Yuan no longer had time to continue waiting. 1 big and 4 small, 5 spirits advanced, and deception jumped out of the way. As expected, Pan Lin shouted. Mo Fan was indeed planning to wait out the duration. The spirits that had encircled him hit nothing but air. However, it's a sacrifice. Spirit sacrifice, Li Yibo cried out. End chapter.